to the Mark Rowan Liz Show.
Good morning, this is Liz. I'm Operations Manager at Augusta Lawn Care and Facilitator of Communication. And today I have a very special guest that I would like for you to get to know and to introduce to you. This is Marcus Roberts.
Hey, how's it going?
So we're going to, people of YouTube. So we're going to start at the beginning, very good place to start. And I'm going to ask Marcus about his life as a kid. Where were you born and grew up?
I was born in Helena, Montana. That's where I grew up. Most of my family's in Helena, Montana.
Brothers and sisters?
Actually, my brother, he's kind of in between Helena and Missoula. He's a forest firefighter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so pretty much the summers he goes fights fire, and in the winters he gets to just kind of chill out and do whatever he wants, snowboard, ski. That's kind of what he likes to do. So
very cool.
yeah, he's moving up higher in that kind of tiers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, we were all obviously born in Helena, grew up there, and then my sister went down to Salt Lake City, Utah, and she goes to the University of Utah for biomedical engineering.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
she's a genius, and my whole life I've just been trying to catch up to her.
So there's 2 boys and 1 girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the youngest, Sam's the middle, and then Laura.
Okay.
Yeah, she's just kind of graduating college. She works for kind of a biomedical technology company. She already got a job for it. So
Nice.
she's also in the ROTC, and so she might get deployed sometime soon.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I would have to check in.
So your parents, tell me a little bit about them.
Yeah, my mom and dad. My dad grew up kind of in high school. He knew by the time kind of he started high school what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. And
wow.
that was being a firefighter.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so he kind of went that route, went to Spokane, Washington, came back like as a teenager studying firefighter, and now he's a captain. He's just about to retire either kind of this winter or the following kind of summer. He's retiring. So.
And your mom, was she a stay-at-home mom or did she work also?
She worked. Yeah, she still works. She works for FedEx.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I wanted you to have a little bit of background of Marcus, and then tell me how you came to Washington and how you found Augusta.
Oh, geez, it was random, kind of a.
First of all, how old are you?
I'm 19. I'm 19
Okay.
years old.
And when did you come to Washington?
Yeah, from Helena to Washington. That was last year. Actually, this month last year.
No
August.
way.
Yeah.
Only a year.
August 15th is when Mia and I came.
Wow.
Yeah, we moved from Helena to here to Bellingham, looking into the school. And
Into like a tech school or?
we were both looking into what's it called, the university, the
Okay.
Western
Yes,
Washington University. And Mia's kind of enrolled for this fall. She's gone, and then I was really kind of back and forth, didn't really know about the whole school thing, and now kind of I'm with Augusta.
What made you two be so brave to move to another state all by yourselves?
Brave.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I don't know if it's brave. I don't know. Me and I both kind of felt, growing up and throughout high school. I met her in high school, and we just felt kind of that we couldn't really grow, and I don't know.
It was kind of stagnant there.
Expand ourselves. Yeah, it's kind of. I'm not saying there's like no opportunity. That's not the point. It's just kind of how we grew up. The people we were around, I guess, were just kind of low life.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So to even come to that decision, was there something that happened at school or with the family, and then you two were like, "There's more for us somewhere else"?
We were thinking about it. There's kind of 2 universities in Montana, where it's like, let's just do the whole route everybody else does.
Right.
Just go to school. You don't have to know what you're going to school for.
Right.
Just spend your money and go to school.
Yep. And then
Rest
try to
of your
figure
life.
it out and get a 9 to 5. Yeah.
And so Mia had brought up Bellingham. She's been there.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'll go with you. I don't really have a direction or anything.
Yeah.
So I kind of maybe want to restart, really kind of have time to think to myself. There's a lot of people kind of that were in our circle just always talking, and especially when we tried to move, they were like, no way.
Yeah.
So
not a lot of support.
yeah.
Yeah. Were your
Exactly.
parents a little nervous?
Yeah, they were a little nervous at first. Obviously they didn't really support it, but
So we'll get back to that of what they must think now.
Yeah.
But were you already here when you applied for Augusta? Did you just go on Craigslist and start applying for whatever?
Yeah.
Like
on
anything you
Craigslist.
could?
Yeah. There was. I don't know. I don't know. I think a couple days before we actually moved, it all in one day. It was like a 11-hour drive. Kind of the day before or something. I was like, okay, look on Craigslist. You know, normal landscaping job won't be too hard, won't be too much, and then just I got here. It's a whole different team, different mindset. I was so freaked out that wow, people in Washington really work hard.
This is a little intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I feel like I stumbled upon a really, really special team.
Yeah. So when you went on Craigslist, was there anything about the ad itself that attracted you to the team?
Yeah, definitely. Can't remember exactly what it said. It was #1 place to work in
Oh
Washington
yeah,
County.
yeah,
It
that
was
one.
kind
The
of
Pulse magazine.
Yeah, exactly. What we have hung up on our wall.
Mhm.
#1 place to work. There's pictures, things like. You look on Craigslist and landscaping job, like no capitals.
Yeah.
And then in the description, it's just like 2 lines. You don't even know what the company looks like or anything.
Right.
So
Right.
just off the bat, I knew this is something special. This is something different. Maybe this is something I can grow in and learn from other people. So that's what really drug me into Augusta.
And we hadn't started paid for performance at that time, right? If that was
Oh,
August,
no,
then in
yeah.
September we decided to trial it.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
You're actually in the job description. It was like, coming soon. We're gonna trial pay for performance.
Ah.
And I'm like, whoa, what
Yeah.
is this?
So when we started that, was that freaky? Like, what did you think of such a thing?
I just thought it was just, I don't know, it's a bonus. It's an incentive to work hard. Like, obviously, an employee is not going to complain about that. Well, most
Yeah.
employees.
Not a high-performing employee.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know, as long as I work hard, I could make more money. So kind of originally, I was thinking about money, which a lot of people are so ignorant to think just about money. So.
Yeah, yeah. And to think that if they always have the mentality of an hourly wage,
Right.
that is such a stuck mindset.
Yeah.
Where there's so much potential for more.
Yeah, and it's definitely a great incentive. It's a great thing. It's just, it's more than money, I would say.
So when you first started here, and then you kind of looked at how we do some of the things, and you heard us talk about stuff, the Audible account, the
Yeah.
podcast and stuff,
Oh,
and what did you think of that? And did you actually start listening right away, or were you thinking that's a little
It's a good question.
weird?
I would have to think about exactly when. Kind of what really intrigued me, Mike already had his podcast. And,
Had you been listening to some of that on the YouTube?
Yeah, and
Okay.
and I still do today. It's something.
Me too.
Yeah, and both you and Mike are just like, we was talking about Audible. I was like, well, kind of where I come from, people are so single-minded to where work hard on the weekends, drink, and relax.
Yeah.
So self-help books or something where I'm from, they would have called something stupid. Self-help.
Exactly. Yeah.
Self-help. So I thought it was, at first like, oh geez, I'm not like that. I'm not going to read those. And then there's certain books. I feel like it started with the podcast. Oh, it started with Bigger Pockets podcast,
Okay.
real estate
Yep,
podcast.
yep.
Something I kind of had been exploring before I moved here. And on every episode of the podcast, they ask a person what's their favorite book.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There are 4 questions that they ask at the end of each podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people said, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep.
So that's the first book I read. Completely changed my life. Started on the Audible account. Completely changed my life. A lot of the books in the Audible, I mean, they're all, self-help, however you might think of that, but there's just so much information and knowledge you can take.
It's like a business degree. Because
Definitely.
there's so much like on business, team, leadership.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And, the more you read about it, the more you kind of live it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't
It kind
really-
of becomes a fiber of who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, even today, like, I can't wake up and just sit on the couch and not do anything. It drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So it's good to have good content coming in instead of sitting there with your own
Definitely.
thoughts.
Yeah, you
I
kinda
met
feel
somebody
it.
one time and they said that there needed to be quietness all the time around you, and like when you went to bed and things. And I thought, wow, I would never want to just be limited to my own thoughts. I would just love to be having good content all the
I feel
time.
like, yeah, myself, I would just go insane now.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
So as you were here and working, were you listening? Do you listen while you work out in the field?
I listen while I work, yeah. It really kind of depends. I used to be just totally all books all the time,
Yeah,
but I kind of had to dial it back a little bit to
Yeah.
where, on each landscape job, you get your kind of notes.
Mhm.
Super straightforward. There's probably a video maybe. So you got to do kind of certain specific things. Know your plants.
yes.
What plants? You take out a customer's plant, and that's something that they wanted to keep.
So you don't want to be too distracted.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's kind of something in your mind that, you can only really focus on one thing at a
Yes.
time. So, I mean,
There is a balance.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, I'm definitely not, dialing back so much to where I'm not.
But when you mow or leaf raking,
Yeah.
something that you need a
There's a lot of
lobotomy, if you need a brain, you don't need a brain to do the job, you might
Yeah.
as well do some
exactly, and
good
a lot of
content.
it, ends up being habit.
Yeah.
I mean, at first it's like I don't know what I'm doing, and then kind of as you get the flow going, then you kind of build that habit, and you almost don't even have to think about it.
Right.
So,
The reason I wanted to have this interview with Marcus today is because he said it's been a year. So today is August 29th, 30th, I think.
Yeah.
We're right in there. And it's been a year and 2 weeks.
1 year
since-
anniversary.
Yeah, this is his 1 year anniversary. And I want to tell you where he is today. First of all, how much experience did you have in lawn care and landscape when you came?
Jeez.
Had you ever used a weed whacker?
Yeah. I have.
You're good.
Yeah, that's kind of step one. Definitely not, a ton of experience. I worked at a nursery, kind of a little bit of construction, but really not enough to really know what I was doing on day one here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's super cool. So
Yeah.
that means if our systems are tight enough that we should be able to bring somebody in, train them, and have them up and rolling in like 3 weeks, you think?
definitely.
If
and-
they have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, a little bit of experience. The most it really kind of depends on for me is, are you a team player? Are you willing to learn?
Yes.
That's something my dad told me is be willing to learn. That's something I can
Yeah.
really take with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Did you go home and YouTube stuff ever? Like if you weren't really sure about the mower or the job or
Yeah,
something like that?
I still do. There's
Yeah.
so many parts to those mowers. And,
Exactly.
the plants here. We live in the PNW,
Yes.
they call it.
Yeah.
Everything grows here. Bamboo grows here.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's nuts. So there's a lot of plants to know.
Right.
I've kind of stepped into the estimator role a little bit.
Dun 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 dun.
And
So Marcus is 19.
yeah.
And in the last 2 weeks, he has started training for estimation. And this past week, Thursday and Friday, huge transition for Augusta. Marcus has moved into the full-time estimator role. We pulled Lee out of that role and into the office to learn operations management, to move me out a little bit. So the way I kind of think about it is you have a circle here, it's your business, and you have the owner who's doing everything. And for the best success, you bring somebody in, you start teaching them everything you know. And a linchpin employee is somebody that comes in and they just learn everything about the owner. And to be a linchpin, you've got to really study them to be somebody that is irreplaceable, that a company couldn't do without. So if the owner has somebody like that, they're in the circle, and that next person learns the system so much that they overlap that circle, kind of like the Olympic symbol,
Yeah.
the 5 rings.
Right.
And then that person learns that role. So that way, when you pull that person, so we have Mike out of the day-to-day, and then I've taken his place here. When you pull that person into that position, they already are 80% ready to go
Yeah.
because they've been absorbed in how you want everything. So for me now, to pull Lee in, he's already seen how it all works.
Right.
Our office is very open and all of our conversations are heard no matter who is in here. And so by osmosis, you learn that the undulations of how the business works, the inflections of people's voice, how they handle customers, how they handle difficult situations. And so Lee, you Thursday and Friday, we're doing estimates all day. Did you on Wednesday or did you split Wednesday this past week? I think you split the day in half.
Maybe I did. I don't really
Yeah.
have a great memory.
Yeah, so Thursday and Friday, he was all day out in the field. Lee was here in the office, and then we put Lee where I am, And then we moved me over to the corner to still be here, but to be able to start helping with the franchisees and other real estate businesses that we're starting and the other projects we're working on. So when Lee stepped into the role this week, he had an 80%. So this past Thursday and Friday, he was able to do all the scheduling, routing, and all that, and hundreds of jobs. And he did really good. And the test is for Marcus and for Lee is it's kind of fun when you mess up or when stuff falls through the cracks, because I told Lee the fun is how fast can you resolve it.
Yeah.
Can you troubleshoot, resolve it, and get back on track? And it's kind of fun to mess up and make mistakes and get better.
Right.
So we love getting better. So Marcus is in the estimator role. So talk to me about when it was presented to you, that kind of role. Like, were you think, was it me?
Yeah, you actually, kind of what we used to do before we kind of had it in the office here is, through coronavirus, we had these Zoom meetings.
Oh, yes.
Where everybody kind of joined, everybody that wanted to kind of expand their knowledge, learn from others, and Mike and you and me. So
we had our first Zoom meeting on a Saturday, right? About finances and stuff?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think Mike brought something up to where he said, if you want to own a business, like maybe a franchise for Augusta, start thinking as the owner as you're doing it. And I was like, no. Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
when you were mowing, were you thinking, okay, how much would I charge a customer for this job if they called me out of the blue?
Exactly. Yeah, I started thinking about stuff like that. And actually, my point was in that Zoom call, you had brought up, like, what if Marcus, were to, like, ask Lee about estimating stuff? And I was like, what if I were to ask Lee about estimating? So I just pepper Lee with questions. I'm the most annoying guy to Lee. And I learned so much from him. I really, it's just kind of living, breathing, and just thinking about it.
Yeah, so by repetition, you become the master of something.
Yeah, and I've kind of stepped into the role now. I'm nowhere, exactly where I want to be, but I'm really prepared for a lot of failure.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to really learn and grow from it.
Excited to fail.
Yeah, it's pretty scary too, obviously.
It is. So how in the world, so you look at businesses and when they hire an estimator, they're paying like $45 an hour. Like, this is a non-generating income position, really, because it's just sheer overhead to send out an estimator. So when you think about this, like, what kind of business, how in the world could they take a kid that a 45-year-old would do and put them in this position? Yeah,
that's something that baffles me. I mean, those companies that you look on Craigslist and they're just like one-liners, I just need a laborer. Like, they never, I don't want to say people are so arrogant to not, explore other options to things, but I think to really be successful, you really have to explore every option repeatedly. And
so to put you in a position like this right away, would you say it would be having really tight systems and things that are always done the same way?
Oh, yeah.
And then Lee teaching you that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of estimating is verbiage. So kind of writing down, you get to the property, you kind of analyze the yard or landscape, and then you're kind of writing down how we would do the job. It's not only for yourself as reference, but it's for the command center to send the estimate to the client. It's for the client, and it's for the crew.
Right.
Kind of everybody really depends on it, which is something
a lot of pressure.
Freaks me out.
Yes.
But we've built, Lee, Mike, and you have built so many systems to where I could just step in and go.
Yeah.
And,
and do you feel supported by all of us?
Oh, definitely.
Like, surrounding you all day?
Definitely.
We're not throwing you to the wolves.
Yeah, and kind of something else we do is a lot of throughout the day is kind of what you and Lee do, which something that baffles me is that you really juggle everything at once, and the whole team pretty much.
Yeah.
Like the quarterback.
Yeah.
The football team. And, I'm sending Lee voice memos like, hey, Lee, if I were to do A, then would it result in B or C? And then he would get back to me, when he can. And that's really how we help each other.
Yeah. So how did he teach you? A lot of our listeners, landscape listeners, do use Service Autopilot, and that's a little more complicated and something you use when you get a little bigger. A lot of others use a Lawn Pro or some of the smaller systems. But for Service Autopilot, how did Lee teach you to build systems? Did he use all the little matrix and intricate things of Service Autopilot, or did he take like some simple strategy and job notes to simplify it?
A little bit of both. A lot of it he tried to make sure, like when he was teaching me, that it's so straightforward, that I could just hop in. He gives me kind of this big template that I could use, that I could just like take pieces of and then fill them in. So for me,
like if you did a contract, a 12-month contract, would that be helpful? His thing?
Yeah.
So what do you think, if I was to mow for them, do you go like this would be 38 visits a year? Or do you just say like mowing per week and then you put like a weekly and bi-weekly and then go to the next one like weeding? Is that how he does the template?
Yeah, he does kind of visits, so, and that's always something.
How many visits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Visits, mowing price, per visit, and then obviously the grass isn't growing through winter and certain parts of the year, so he incorporates kind of a lot of weekly, some bi-weekly, because the grass isn't growing as much. And then, so it's not only straightforward for me, that template, but as we send it to the client, they can see, oh, item A, item B, item C. It's systemizing that has saved probably thousands of hours.
Oh yeah, for sure,
so.
for sure. So you're feeling pretty hopeful and positive about the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing estimates and pretty confident.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have support and
definitely.
So when we franchise, we had to simplify all of our systems. So really huge landscaping jobs, we have cut out those because, just as I say over and over, if you went to McDonald's and you ordered a cheeseburger, every time you go to McDonald's, it tastes the same. Or Olive Garden, they train all of their franchisees or business owners to make the salad the same way. There's a certain amount of tomatoes, olives, everything is the same. So when you franchise, you have to build systems that somebody could come in and just follow them, like just go.
Definitely.
They would just have to have the drive and the grit and know that there's these people supporting them. They've committed to Augusta, and Augusta supports them for their 10-year marriage. I mean, it's a huge commitment, right?
Yeah.
But for you as an estimator, isn't it kind of nice that you're not having to pick up the phone and answer the customer's calls?
Yeah.
That's a benefit of command, I guess.
Yeah, Command Center does a lot of that. Kind of a select few kind of circumstances would lead me to calling a client, like they weren't there on a job site or something.
I see. So if Command set up your estimate, let's say you were a franchisee, and Command, you would wake up in the morning and all your estimates would already be on the calendar.
Yeah.
And then you would be like, oh no, I forgot. This is, I got to be at so-and-so somewhere. So then you as the franchisee would just make the call right to the customer.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just letting you know I can't be there at that time. Would this work better? And then you would go into Service Autopilot and just change it.
Yeah.
I see.
Instead of as a franchisee waking up without a Command Center and saying, okay, let me, time block 2 hours out of my life each day to really to
answer these emails, to schedule the people, to put their profile in Service Autopilot. So they save a massive amount of time.
Oh, for sure.
And they're like guarding you.
Yeah.
So that you can be the quarterback and go out there and get stuff done.
Perform.
Yes, perform. So how is your personality? So are you, you're a very kind person, and you're not the kind of person that would drive your opinion or what you think down somebody's throat. So when you come on somebody's property, how do you come from the kind of person you are and be the kind of person to tell them what they need?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Kind of the sales point.
Yes.
Sure. That's something, just in the past week I've talked to Lee a lot about. And, through that audible account, listen to a lot of books. But as far as selling goes, I really try to, there's a lot of things I don't know, and I realize that. But I kind of, YouTube, things I don't know, I write down, get that general knowledge going, just so I could really express myself. And a lot of when I get to the client's property is being really kind of exuberant. If they're really unsure about something, I made a big mistake the other day.
Yeah.
That Leah and I were at this place, and this client was like, I don't know, would that look good? I was kind of taking the lead. It was one of my first estimates that I did with Leah.
Okay, so Lee was there, but he was letting you just go for it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, unfortunately, it ended up like she wanted like this huge backyard installed, mulch beds all the way around, different plants. And I was like, I don't know, like it might look good like this, but it's up to you.
You're cool.
It's up to you. It's your call. She's like, well, I don't really know.
That's why I called you. You're the professional.
And then kind of after, I was like, Lee, how'd I do? He's like, do you really? Yeah. He was like, really try to kind of sell more and get better at that. He said it pretty nicely, but that's something I really try to hammer down on. And when I get to a property you're unsure about something, kind of what I've never really thought about a lot is believing in my product. Like,
yes.
Obviously, like, we're doing people a really good service, and I realize that, but that's not something I really, like, said in my voice and was super transparent about.
Yeah.
So
what did Lee say you should do? Was he saying that you should tell them what they want? Just like the fashion industry tells us what kind of clothes we're going to wear?
Pretty much, without shoving it down their throat.
Yeah.
Lee is a guy that's super exuberant.
Yeah. And confident. Yeah. So confident.
Exactly, and I've learned a lot from him when he's with a client and they're unsure about, a landscape bed. Like, I don't know, should I run along my fence? He's like, here, come with me. He kind of opens up his body, and then he's like, yeah, if you could walk with me. I feel like it would look so cool if it kind of tied into the fence. It kind of was curved, and then a little bit of a shape here went around the tree, kind of as a tree circle. And then he kind of
That's a great imitation.
Yeah, he's an artist.
Yeah, he is.
He builds it in his mind.
Yeah.
And he builds it really fast. That's what I'm trying to get good at.
Yeah,
So.
and I know that he really pushes. So when you're trying to franchise and you are making your system smaller, you're not gonna say we do all this big stuff, and you probably don't feel like you have to know about every product on the planet because you've simplified the systems, right? So that probably helps a little bit.
Yeah, and like, we only have like 13, 14 bins of product out there. I still get confused on what's what and why.
Yeah.
So, I have the materials reference book that I refer to. I also, there's so much that you could just learn from YouTube. Not a lot of people know. People think it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
YouTube University.
Hey Google.
Yeah, hey Google. And then just referring to you guys, because you guys, have been through the ringer and trial by fire. You know everything about the products, and so just kind of try not to be so ignorant to think that you know everything.
For sure.
Yeah.
To always have a beginner's mindset.
Yeah, and us operating as a team. I mean, just me, in the past year that I've been here, the growth that Augusta's had is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, just super
and it can be
inspiring.
pretty uncomfortable. Like, you should always be uncomfortable. The growth is uncomfortable.
Trial by fire.
Yes, and so we did just kind of throw you in because we got thrown in that way.
Yeah.
But we are sympathetic. It's like I told Lee, I've made all the mistakes so that he doesn't have to. And same with him.
Right.
Like he's made the mistakes so that you don't have to. It should be that everybody's success behind us is better.
Definitely, and that's something you guys explained too, is that even I, you and Lee say, I've been here so long, I still don't know about certain stuff.
Yeah.
And something I saw on your YouTube, you're reading Principles by Ray Dalio.
Oh yeah.
That's something I just recently started. And I was listening to podcasts with Ray Dalio, and it's pretty funny. Before every huge business meeting or whatever, he starts it off by saying, just clearing the air. He says, first things first, I'm a dumb shit, and I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
that levels the playing field, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Ray Dalio's in the room.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you could look at people above you, is that, maybe they don't know everything they need to know.
And everybody knows something you don't know.
Definitely.
So like, Marcus, we draw, so when the guys go on jobs, they have visit notes through Service Autopilot, and the app is on their phone. So if it's kind of an odd place where there's going to be different sections to mow, we'll do a drawing of the Google map, and then we'll just do the colors of like the red is here, the blue is for weeding, and then we attach that to the guy's visit. So the other day, and then we have a chat where we put all the videos and photos on and then give them to the guys for the jobs, the videos, and then the photos are attached to the visit. And I was like, whoa, did Marcus do this one? It's so nice.
And I made a huge detailed map. The thing about that one is, I'm just starting estimating, and there's on the job notes it said about 3 city blocks worth of landscaping.
Whoa.
It's this big, huge company out in Linden, Washington, above us. 3 city blocks. She took me around the whole place, all through different places around, and showed me kind of what goes where and things like that. And I was like, okay, how do I systematize this, make it so easy for the
crews.
the crew to get there?
Yeah.
And so I could take a video and walk 3 blocks worth of property. It'd be 11, 12-minute video, or I could draw a huge map, an aerial view of, through Google Earth. And, kind of as a landscaper and estimator, you could look at different apps, maybe not intended for landscaping, kind of like Zillow, to look at property lines. So they show all those property lines, things like that. And so I used Google Earth, kind of got, I had to zoom out of what, she gave me a map too, but it was so small. I mean, the property was enormous. So I used a Google image view, kind of screenshotted it, and then there are apps and things like that that you could kind of specifically pinpoint and draw, weed whack here, this would be for snow removal if we did that. And just super easy for the crew.
So the point is, we looked at that and Lee's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's better than I ever did. And I'm like, see, already, like we move into these other roles and we get better. And the cool thing is, I was teaching Lee about optimizing. He goes, why do you do it like this? Can I try this? And so I said, yeah, try it. And he tried it, and all the jobs disappeared. And I'm just letting him do it because I had made that mistake before. But then the next day, he's like, I really think different than you about this section and this section about the way it should be optimized and the way the guys should. And I'm like, yeah, let's try it. And we liked it. It was better.
Yeah. I feel like that's something, I've been thinking about that a little bit. How, I kind of stepped into Lee's role, Lee stepped into your role, and then you're doing franchising. So I feel like that's maybe something, in the future. It's not really our fault because we get habits and certain systems the way we do things.
Exactly.
And so you've been doing it that way, you're really fast at that way, but maybe there's a little bit faster way that you didn't really realize.
Exactly.
So, maybe kind of in the future we could each go kind of spend a day in each other's position and say, well, kind of...
like a different set of eyes.
Yeah, I had that problem. This is how I did it. This might be a little faster. You might kind of consider that next time.
Yeah.
And so, that's kind of... especially with sales too. Just kind of one-on-one, like, here's what you did wrong, here's what you did right. Like, just something about this team, we're so transparent. Like.
Yeah, we are.
If you did a bad job, you're kind of gonna know about it. So, but at least we're not.
At least nobody's talking behind each other's back.
At least.
I always say, I'm talking behind your back, right in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's where we are today. Huge transition at Augusta, and so much for the future. I do want to go back to one thing. When you were in the field not too long ago, there was a couple days you would say, hey, I need to be off by 3:30 today. I'm doing this class.
Yeah.
And if possible, can I be off by 3:30? And so I would text the guy that was with him, hey, Marcus needs to get out of here at 3:30. He's going to try to roll back here on the truck so he can just head out. And then I asked you what that was about. So what were you doing?
Oh, kind of that class?
Yeah, the real estate.
Yeah, real estate class. I have a, that's since ended, but it was about, I think, 3 months, twice a week. One would be one-on-one for an hour, and then one would be kind of a class with a couple other people. And there's kind of an online through Zoom, so we all kind of get together and talk. The two kind of instructors, I would say, is a guy named Chris Davis, great guy. He's been into real estate, fixes and flips and things like that back in Montana. So I guess, before I moved here, I kind of had that a little bit of a mindset where I could escape the rat race of college, job, 401k, and then die. So
nice.
Yeah, that's
sounds like a lovely life.
Lovely life.
Yes.
I don't know. It's for some people. So there's goods and bads. I don't want to talk bad about kind of that life.
But it wasn't for you.
It's not for me.
Yeah.
So
when you talked about going into real estate, what were you thinking? Like, what avenue or department, I would say, of real estate were you thinking of?
Okay, that's still something I'm really thinking about a lot, kind of on my free time. Is that I don't really know exactly where I, really got the, I guess the mind for the niche. But with real estate, I kind of want to, in the future, I kind of it as a future goal to where I want to maybe take existing apartment units and then transform them into something green, sustainable,
Nice.
super insulated, something that people really could live and breathe in, and maybe that'll change their mindset.
So maybe buy it at a low cost, and then like do some renovations to make it, and then advertise it or market as something that would be for those who care about the environment.
Definitely. Or yeah, it's a huge business mindset here too.
Yes.
A lot of real estate's also business. So having a business to where, maybe I'll go in, I'll kind of have my company to where I could go in and kind of look at your property, kind of scan it, kind of as we do now for landscape, right? But go inside the house and say, okay, what if we retrofit this to where, there's a lot you can and can't do, and that I'm still learning about it.
So there's so much to learn.
Yeah,
and to know.
Green building, I think, is something that's going to really take.
I like that.
Yeah, so real estate with the emphasis on green building.
Kind of with the slant that way.
Definitely.
I like it.
Thank
So do you find working here at Augusta would help, like, let's say you were going to go in something totally different. Like, we have one young guy here that wants to own a vineyard in Oregon.
Yeah.
We have another guy who wants to own a business detailing cars. If you were going to go into those business, do you think that being here and just, like, even out on a route where we're talking about time management and budgeted hours and paid for performance, do you think that would help them to kind of start getting a business mentality and structure?
Definitely. And I mean, starting a business just cold turkey without all the systems, you really have to, like, I don't know, there's a statistic that, 90% of businesses fail within the first year.
Right, because they don't have systems.
Yeah.
And they don't know the numbers.
Right. And yeah.
So you're 19, let's say you wanted to go start your own franchise.
Okay.
And that seems super daunting.
Great.
But if you knew you could pay your down payment and then go to the training and have somebody setting up all the systems, and then knowing that as an estimator that would be what you would do. Like right from the get, you'd have command, taking your calls after somebody already taught you the marketing.
Yeah.
Do you think you could do it?
I think so. I think, I have at least kind of a general sales mindset and then kind of an always repetitive growth mindset.
So you've seen the execution from the phone call to the estimate, to receiving the estimate, to doing the job, to the guys doing the walkthrough, to then sending the invoice, to then sending a survey, a thank you, and that's all automated.
Yeah.
You know the process from beginning to end.
Definitely, it's automated.
So a young person could do it.
Yeah, and that's something like, people maybe looking, listening to this, say, well, that's ridiculous. You need all those systems. Like, we're thinking about that stuff, and you and Mike have set up to where, kind of systematize command center, estimator to laborer.
And we've been the guinea pig, so that we're like, oh, that's not working. That automation isn't right. Like, they're getting too many automations after the job, the estimate goes out. We need to take 2 away, and we need to follow up this many days. And we've made a ton of mistakes. Like, there's so many people that are daunted by service autopilot, and even you starting out, if somebody wasn't just saying, no, just do this, this, and this is how you make a to-do, this is the glitches that can happen with service autopilot, they happen.
Yeah.
And just know, okay, hey, you guys, did I make a mistake? You were doing that the other day. I can't see my job or my to-do for my estimate, like, where is it? And then we are like, hey, have you ever heard of that? And like, okay, either we clicked on something wrong or it's a glitch in service autopilot. Like, don't be discouraged by that, because service autopilot is trying to appeal to such a broad spectrum of people. Anybody who is in the landscape industry and tries to use it is going to be so completely overwhelmed. But we have built the system. So we want to empower the franchisees to teach them when they go in all the back end how to build their own automations. So they don't have to pay someone a large amount of money to come in and set them up for them. Because what you don't want is then it's midnight and it's all messed up and you don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
You don't know how to go back in and change the timing of an automation or whatever. You're completely dependent on somebody else to fix it, and that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So for the franchisees, when they come for training, we teach them how to set that all up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe for further assurance, think Mike or you or Lee told me, maybe it was Lee, one of the new franchisees, he's in Quebec, Canada or something like that. Kind of.
Nick. Ned.
And he's 19, isn't he?
He is early 20s, 20, 22. Yeah, he's fairly young.
Okay.
He came here when he was 18 or 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the franchise, well, the first time we met him was at the conference, and we are going to interview him. We really want you to hear Nick's story. That would be exactly like Marcus
I want to hear
starting
Nick's story
one.
too.
Yeah, we're really excited, and we've let him know that when things slow down a little bit, we'd love to speak with him. But what had you heard about him? What did you hear?
That's basically it. Is that 18, 19 people you wouldn't think would ever want to start a business. That he could just kind of get in and go. And I've never owned a franchise, so I don't know exactly. I guess how turnkey it would be, but it's definitely systematized to where we run the same systems here, and it works.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
works. So.
And so when we talk to them on the phone, we can be like, oh no, click here, click, oh yeah, that's what happens sometimes, you just gotta do this or that. It's an incredible community of people. What I really like is that when if you were wanting to find out about the franchise and you put your name in or had a call to Mike, he would be doing the same about you. He would find out how you run your business, how you are with your employees. If you called him and said, oh, they're just stupid guys and I can't stand my guys, you would not fit in the Augusta culture. The whole reason we do this is to change the landscape industry and to help business owners. That's what we're all about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's something that really works. If you're thinking about it, I would say think about it more. There's a lot of people here at this Whatcom County, Augusta location that one day I know would be really good for
Me too. Yeah. And just because they've been so immersed in the culture of all of it, they could much more easily step into the role.
It's something that would really change your life.
Yeah.
It's
for
something
sure.
that's changed mine and my mindset. And I'm excited to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, that's cool. To come to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you can attest to that too. Is every task in the day, a lot of people would get overwhelmed by it, but you double that list and then you do it all, and then you do more.
Yeah.
So.
We're definitely high performers and overachievers.
Yeah, but
but it's all about each other, really.
Yeah, and if you're just getting started, my advice would be, don't get overwhelmed. Just learn one thing each day.
Yeah, be a little better than yesterday.
Read those books, because whether or not you want it, reading those books would really change your mindset for the better.
So the topic you're wanting to learn about, so for instance, we've moved into some real estate, buying, investing, and managing and that type of thing. And the same with me, I took a space of time, and all my extra time is classes and learning and studying. And not so much that it would be a moment, let's say you're in the grocery store or somewhere and you just got it going in your, like, I'm always wearing these. And have several sets so that when one dies, you can pop the other one in. And you honestly cannot absorb it all the time. But I know that in my subconscious, it's happened before, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's why. And then somebody talks about a REIT property, or they talk about something else, and you're like, oh yeah, I totally get that. And you never sat down and read that anywhere.
Right.
It's because you've heard so much that the terms are common. And so you start catching it when people explain it.
Yeah,
so.
That's a great way to live.
Yeah, it is a great way to live. So, did you have anything else you wanted to add or ask or anything before we wrap up today?
I don't think so. I think maybe a lot of people on your YouTube have a lot of questions for you. So maybe if I could kind of ask you a couple things about how you run things, because I still learn a ton from you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I guess my first question would be, kind of food and diet. How do you kind of structure it when you eat? What do you eat over the years? What if you kind of started to eat and then say, no, that's something that's really not for me, it's unhealthy. Something I've been thinking about a lot recently. I just watched the movie. I don't watch a lot of movies. It's called What the Hell. Have you seen it?
I have not heard that. Is it a YouTube?
No, it's Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. But on What the Health, out of nowhere, he's like, red meat is on the list for, it's like a level 1 carcinogen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like smoking cigarettes,
Mm-hmm.
basically, or like being exposed to asbestos.
Yeah.
Which is something that I'm like, it really depresses me that, that's something that's not really talked about in the media. All they want to talk about is politics.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I could care less
Yeah.
about.
And then they need all that stuff to
Yeah.
keep going and deal with all the negativity.
But yeah, it's something that I've really kind of thinking a lot more about, like what else hasn't people told me. So
Yeah.
for you, how do you kind of structure your diet?
Yeah. Well, I work at Augusta 12 to 14 hours a day. And I realized there's no way to keep this kind of pace. And even like say if the guys were all coming back at 4 o'clock and they're all asking a ton of questions, like there's nothing left in the tank to give.
Yeah.
If you're eating crap and you're not taking care of yourself, and if you're not having good content in. So I realized I was going to have to support Mike and to support all of you out there. I was really going to have to change everything about myself, right? And so I do like coffee with collagen in it, which helps repair after working out and things. And I try to work out every day, lift weights, cardio. We run a mountain here called the Oyster Dome. It's about 7.9 miles. So we try to do that once a week. And Mike and I together, and Mike runs the whole way, and I hike up and run down. And so I realized that to people well, I need to be healthy.
Yeah.
So a lot of, several years ago I had a life event that was really traumatizing, and a lot of anxiety and depression and those kind of things are from your gut. And so if you can eat an anti-inflammatory diet, it helps all of that calm down and be more level. So I completely eliminated sugar. And
Wow.
so I eat eggs, meat, nuts, vegetables, all of that,
Wow.
like just whole foods.
Right.
And because of our busy lifestyle, and this is going to be for all the guys in our industry, it's not normal, and especially in paid for performance. There's no way you're going to be able to stop for food, right? So I get laughed at, but I have a big lunchbox, and I take it everywhere. So I usually leave in the morning at about 6:30, and I don't get home till 10 at night. And I'm at Augusta, so I can't leave. And so for 7 years, I've done this. Like I've packed everything from morning till night. So I make sure I have all like good healthy supplements, a lot of meat, tons of just full. My lunchbox is full of stuff, and my vice is coffee. I drink black coffee, and so a lot of water. And I eat mostly keto, and then like I gave you some of my keto lemonade today. So I really believe in being healthy to best serve other people.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
something you would say that after trying keto in college and just getting started, that's something that's really kind of not only helped your physical self to feel better, but kind of your mental.
Oh, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, that and amino acids and exercise is huge.
Yeah.
And if you feel good and you are good, it's the only way you can give out to other people. If there's nothing there, how can you give it out? You're so broken and hungry and hangry, and when the guys are out in the field, they need protein. Like there's been times some of them come in, they're mad at each other, they're tired. I'm not even going to talk to you until you eat something.
Yeah.
It's like Wyatt and I were going to do an interview last week, and he had worked 10 hours. I'm like, hey, I'll give you all the rest of the food in my lunchbox if you want to do an interview when you get back. He came back, ate all the rest of the food in my lunchbox, and then we did an interview. Like you cannot perform unless you take care of yourself.
Right, and you interviewed Wyatt.
Yeah.
That was kind of another question I had. Kind of in the day, how do you say that?
The day of the life of Liz.
Of Liz. In the day of the life of the Liz.
Yes.
How kind of do you structure when you work out?
So it used to be in the morning. So I used to get up at 2:45 and get to the gym by 3:15, work out till 5, come home and be out the door by 6:30. However, Mike and I like to work out together, and Mike basically would work all night till 3 and then go to bed at 3, and that's when I would get up. So he's like, can't you just switch it around? I'm like, no, can't you switch it around? So I switched it around. So usually when I get off work, so I work here till about 7:30, 8, I leave here and I go to the gym and I try to, I've had to really condense it, so I do a lot of WODs, like workouts of the day. It's like a CrossFit thing, so I take like 3 or 4 exercises, and then I do like as heavy as I can for each, or I'll do another sort of thing where I do 100 reps of something, 100 reps of something, but it's the 3 things. So I go from one to the next, and do 10 reps of them, of each one, as heavy as I can, and keep doing rounds or cycles of those. And so it's like all out for 45 minutes. I would prefer to do all my heavy lifts than do my accessory lifts and then do some cardio, but you know, life happens.
Yeah.
So I've learned that from Mike, like, you only have 24 hours a day. My day is structured from the time I get up to the time I go to bed. And it's not the life I've wanted, but it's the life I have.
Yeah.
And you can either be a victim or you can make it great.
It's that victim mentality.
It's horrible. It's debilitating. Like, there's nothing good about
That's
it.
something my mom and I talk about a lot. It's victim's mentality.
It's demoralizing and it's paralyzing, and it will completely ruin your life. And who wants to be 80 and look back and look, if I had only done this, if I had had the guts to change, if I had, even when I have this big sign in my kitchen this morning and it says, how would you act today if you weren't afraid?
Yeah.
And then people, if you just weren't afraid, like, can you imagine if you thought of yourself as this highly successful, amazing person? Let's say you were.
Yeah.
You just have to believe it and go.
Definitely.
Like, you gotta try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Go and give. Yeah. Anything else?
I guess for the person just starting out, a person that's kind of maybe listened to this, watched this, and said, I'm never going to do that. I'm not waking up at 3 and working out and systematizing my whole day like that.
Yeah.
For somebody just starting out, what would you say are kind of the little things that they really need to build up step by step, and that they kind of need to know throughout their journey of loving themselves?
Yeah. So if people have been through difficult things and somebody's told them they're a piece of blank and they start to believe themselves that way, like we used to park by this trash can at this place we went every Sunday, big dumpster, and my kids would get so mad. Why do you keep parking by the trash can? And I said, because I feel like trash. And I said, the day I don't feel like trash, I'll park somewhere else.
Wow.
And so when you feel that way, so let's say you felt that way and you had bad stuff happen in your life and you felt like worthless nothing, but you decided that even though you felt that way, you were gonna make yourself get up and bring some kind of good to the world. So that's your beginning, that's your starting point, and you're going to become somebody different. I would say that just do something, do anything. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, he really pushes like all these people gotta have this big elaborate plan for their life, and I need to post something. He's like, well, how many times did you post yesterday? And they're like, I didn't, I was trying to do, he's like, post.
Yeah.
Like, start, get going, like, mess up, make a ton of mistakes. And so that was the thing for me. I'm going to get up and I'm going to bring good to somebody else's life. I'm going to help somebody else have their dreams come true today. If I have no drive or will or purpose, I'm going to help somebody else who does. And that was really, Mike has that. And so I'm going to get behind that and make that happen.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I want my people that I work with, I don't like to say my employees, but my people. You're not in each other's lives forever, but you are for a minute.
Right.
And so if you are for a minute, let's try to make each other's lives better. And you work with the people, you are with the people you work with more than your family, if you actually counted out the hours every day. So why would you want to make life miserable for them? Why wouldn't you want to make their lives better instead of miserable? So that's the thing, is start somewhere and get a little better.
I would concur. And something I've learned, it took me forever to learn, but something I learned, I think it was through Bigger Pockets podcast. It's a great podcast.
It is.
For that.
Y'all should hear that.
They talked about kind of how can I learn from these high achievers, people way up here that are just like nowhere in my playing field. I can't give anything to them. All I would want to do is for them to mentor me. How can I make that happen?
Yeah.
And the average high achiever has so much to do in their day that
Yes.
it's not like they're looking down on you. They're just like, hey,
I just can't.
I can't help you out. So instead of having the mindset to where can I, will you be my mentor? Can I just come learn from you for a day? Can I shadow you for a day?
Yes.
Which works in a lot of situations because people love talking about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But for the really high achievers that you want to kind of establish a connection with, definitely think in their field. Think about what you can do for them.
Yeah. How to bring value to them.
Bring value.
Why would they even want to pay attention or give you time?
And say, a lot of people, with the victim's mentality are going to react to that by saying, well, geez, why does everything have to be so business-oriented? Can't people just be a good person and teach me?
They're trying.
Yeah, right? We want to teach everybody.
But the same with Mike. As you grow and get bigger and there's so many people drawing on you everywhere, the only way you are getting mentored every day if you listen to their stuff.
Yeah.
He's sacrificing all of his time, all of his effort. He's pouring out 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to them, you're becoming mentored by them.
Definitely.
They are already giving so much. You're getting more than if you sat with them for 30 minutes. If you listen to, I heard that exact podcast this week, and they were saying that, don't expect them to take your phone call. They're giving so much already if you just start absorbing their content.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something, obviously I have a lot of questions just starting estimating, but coming to you, Lee, and Mike, I come at you with a lot of questions, but I'm really trying to think of ways to really, bring value to you more so that, you're more inclined to help me as kind of a team. So.
And for somebody like you, I mentioned you that day on Zoom because I had already noticed that you do a lot of personal, I knew you were doing the real estate thing and making the effort. There's things that stand out about people, and I don't know where I put my little note. Where did I put my little note? Here it
Are you
is.
sitting on it?
Yeah, so we have a paper over here with all these little things, and you can't see it. It says, your work ethic is legendary. And people do things to bring value. We have things you can tear off, Augusta affirmations, and we hide them places for each other.
Right.
And so this one was in my gas thing. You pull the gas over and turn the thing, Marcus hid one in there. And you see them disappear over there, you don't know where they are, and so this week he's doing estimating, he has a little, I don't even know what kind of brand it is, but it's kind of like a little laptop, small, the little lid. And so I took his thing today. Do you remember which one it was?
Geez, you put me on the spot.
So I don't know, something, your hard work is appreciated or something. And so I just lifted the lid to his laptop and put it in, okay? So then later on, Brandon goes, who put this on my desk? And I'm like, what does it say? I said, Marcus. Marcus just moved it over to your desk after I put it on his computer. So those are the kind of things, if you want to move up in a company or be noticed, become a linchpin. Read that book in the Audible account. How I wanted to help and support Mike, the only way is to study him, watch him, what does he need. When somebody is that busy, they're pouring out 100%, they don't even think about their food or whatever, so busy. And for me, I would watch those kind of things about Mike, and I'd be he'd be working away, and I'd watch his hands would be shaky, and I'm like, hey, what did you eat last time? He's like, I don't know, yesterday. And from that moment on, I started to bring him a lunch every day. And just to have something. And now, we're not together, so he is out doing the franchisee thing, and I'm here, but, if he's here in the morning at the office, I'm bringing him something to eat. You take care of each other, and you watch out for each other, and that is how you become a linchpin.
Yeah.
You just study each other, and you're there for each other. That's how you build an amazing company, and there's nothing we can't do together, really.
Right. Yeah. You try to master yourself, make it perfect for yourself.
Yeah.
But it really takes a village to really grow.
It does. So I thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
It's been super special, and I'm so glad you're on our team.
You change a lot of people's lives. You're really
Thank you.
good for a lot of people.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.